the next 2 or 3 years, 89, 90, 91, you were still winning, but not maybe quite as many races, and you slipped in the standings. At what point did the idea to maybe make a move to another team begin to take shape?
I looked at that in 90, 91. It was just time. Things had gotten stagnant. Other teams had caught up. Technology was catching up. We wasn't keeping up with the times, and it was time to go. Time to move.
I'm assuming you had other offers, or was it always going to be junior or stay put?
Well, I wanted to stay in a Ford. I mean, that was kind of my main goal. And, junior, Ford kind of wanted me to go to junior, so it made better sense, And Harry Melling at the point in time, he'd gone through the good years, and he'd come up one day and he didn't know if he wanted to continue to race or yes or no or whatever. And I said, look, I went to his office and sat down and talked to him. I actually went up there and sat and talked to him before I did anything. I said, look, Harry, I said, I need to make a change and try something different for a period of time. I said, then that'll give you some time. If you want to continue to race, we'll come back, revisit whatever we want to do and go from there. But I sat down with everybody and said, look, here's what I'm thinking, and so that's what I did.
You do go over to juniors, and after the Daytona 500 in 92, you win the next 4 races. How surprised were you that you clicked so well?
I'd heard horror stories about Tim Brewer. I love
really?
Tim Brewer. Who hadn't heard horror stories about Tim Brewer? But I'll tell you what, I said this downstairs earlier. I said, as far as a person calling a race, in his era, I'd never worked anybody as good as he was at calling a race.
Yeah.
I mean, he could, off the cuff, he could make decisions, and he could keep up with things. I don't know how he did it. I mean, he may have had a computer there or magic or somebody telling him what to do. But he was one of the best I'd ever been around calling a race. And, I mean, we just clicked. I mean, Tim and I, we went through the year, had a great time, had a lot of fun, enjoyed the heck out of it. Just had some issues there again at the end of the year. We tore up engines 2 or 3 times that we never had any problem. And then I know Charlotte, we broke a suspension part that never breaks on a race car that did break, and then ended up just coming so close and didn't win. But then junior, him and Brewer have a little spat.
Little spats.
One thing leads to another, and it kind of upsets our whole deal. And then, Mike was the crew chief for next year, and I love Mike to death, and we did a great job, but we never clicked until the next year, till the third year into my deal, 94, I guess. And it just kind of, I think that whole deal with Junior and Flossie kind of put the whole team in a different aspect.
Right.
And it's funny how different dynamics take shape in these race teams as you go through your era. It's no different in football teams or baseball or whatever sports you play. A certain dynamic comes together, and it's almost like a magic, just like us in our team in the 80s. Everything just came together and clicked. And you can buy the best guy, you can pay the best people, you can do the best thing, but it don't always get you the same results. And I think that's what you look at as time goes on. And I just think that whole situation affected the race team. And then I think Junior was at the point by just that next year or two that he was ready to get out of it anyway, which I don't know when he made that decision, but like I said, it just put the whole race team in a tailspin, from that point on. As
good as things went early in the year, the last several races of the year, the wheels basically fell off, like you said. And you and I talked for the book that I wrote, NASCAR's Greatest Race, about the 92 Hooters 500. And you said that by the time you got to Atlanta, you were basically just racing for a race win. You didn't feel like maybe you were in contention for the championship?
No, I didn't feel like we were close. I mean, there were too many other guys that had way too many points on us at that point in time.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be down between Davey and those guys. I mean, Davey, as good as Davey run, Davey would probably have been the definite one to win the championship. And Alan would have been the next, and we were kind of the odd man out because we blew up at Phoenix. We blew up at Martinsville, and then we had another engine failure at Phoenix. And by that time, we were so far out of it that I was not thinking championship at all.
So you wind up finishing a very close second in the championship, and then at the end of '94, you go to do your own deal. But it was a long time before you won again. How hard was that for you, that era?
That whole era was the biggest mistake I ever made. I should have rethought that whole deal because by that time I thought we could pull everything together like we did in the 80s, but the super teams were coming along, like the Hendricks. And, it's just like I said a minute ago. If I'd have went to Rick's shop when I still had my race team and went through his shop, I'd have went home and closed my shop. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't have the resources or the whole deal. And I think Junior was smart enough that at his point in time in his strong days there before things really changed there in the early 90s, that I think he was pretty good at doing that. But then when Rick Hendricks came in and you got Penske and you got all the guys that's driving the deal now, it just became a whole different animal.
I talked to Ray Evernham, and he said that he came to you at New Hampshire in the garage in 1999 about driving for his deal. And basically, before he left the hauler, you had the basics of agreement in place. What do you remember about that exchange?
Well, I get at the racetrack, or I don't know when it was, sometime going into that week, or maybe it was at the racetrack. I said, Ray Evernham's looking for me. And I'm thinking, I wonder what he wants. So I go in the trawler, and he says, I want you to drive my car next year. And I thought, are you brain dead or what?
Really?
I hadn't won a race in forever, and I'm this old, and I don't have nothing to offer. So,
really?
So why you want me? Well, I want you to do this. And I said, well, I don't have anything else. I've exhausted all my resources. Ford had been really, really good to me. I hated to leave them, and I struggled with that decision. But there was nowhere else to go. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. It ain't forever. And really, it was the best thing I ever did. I mean, Ray really helped me turn myself around and prove that I could still halfway drive a race car. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. I had a great time. I mean, me and Ray are still friends today, still talk a lot, and we just had a good time.
Certain drivers become so synonymous with the manufacturer that they drive for. You got Richard Petty and Dodge, you got Dale Earnhardt and Chevrolet, you had Bill Elliott and Ford. You didn't mention Bill Elliott without mentioning Ford and vice versa. How big a deal was it for you to
It was tough. I struggled with that decision probably harder than anything. But it's just part of it. I mean, they'll still know you as a Ford. I mean, it's just like I have people come up to me today and say, when are you going to get chasing a Ford? I said, well, it just didn't work out. I said, it just didn't, there's something, lo and behold, in the future might change. But I said, right now, things are where they're at. And I said, in today's world and opportunities, and I think at that point in time, even almost 20 years ago, you look at that and you look at how things have changed in that amount of time, but have really changed in the last 5 or 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of got to look at opportunities and what's going to give you the best chance of where you're going to go and give you a future in the sport. And like I said, Ray stuck his neck out on me, and I mean, we ran good, we won races, and we worked hard as a team, and I just cherished the time we had together.
You did win races at Homestead in 2001, and then consecutive races the next year at Pocono and Indy. What was it like for you to get those wins after having gone so long without one?
It's hard to describe. You could win a race. I mean, and we felt like you're competitive, and we've been competitive a lot. And, I look back on all that stuff today, and I feel like that if I could go back and do things differently, I'd be a whole lot better racer than I was even at that point in time with even watching the things I've watched the last 10 or 15 years, and seeing kind of where things have evolved. But like I said, I'm proud of my span. I'm proud of what I did when I did it, and it's time for the next generation to come on and do what they need to do.
The last few years of your career, you ran basically partial schedules, mostly for the Wood Brothers and James Finch. Were you basically just racing for fun, or were you maybe keeping the seat warm for Chase?
I was racing for more for fun, just, hey, have a good time. Granted, my deal is I like to be competitive. I don't have to win a race. Your goal is to win a race, but you look at things realistically. And my biggest deal, if I can come out of the race and be competitive, if I've had a good day and I ran good and I was competitive all day, hey, that's where I like to be. And I mean, just like I still tinker around and vintage race and do things, and I just enjoy being in the car. I mean, it's just fun.
Now, you ran an Xfinity race last year. When's your next race?
A week from Sunday.
What kind of race?
A vintage car race.
Oh, I thought I had a scoop. Are you going to do another Cup race ever?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I mean, the problem is today there's nobody hardly left. You don't have anybody you can go to and say, hey, I'm going to put a deal together and I want to come drive your car. First off, there ain't many deals to put together anymore.
Right.
And then the second off, if there is a decent deal, I would rather steer it to either Chase or somebody that's coming along.
Right.
I mean, I've had my day in the sun. If there's a lot of things going on, that's one thing. But as tight as things have gotten today, it's like, But I had a great time at Road America. I've never been there. I've been up, never raced there. I went up there with Chase several times, and when he ran Xfinity stuff, and I always thought, man, it'd be a cool place to go have fun. I had a great time. I mean, I had a great time doing it.
What's it like to watch Chase on the racetrack now and doing well?
The only thing that I get antsy about, I would say, is circumstances. I can't control, if somebody gets into you and it cuts a tire down, or something happens, or you have a bad stop, or you have this or you have that, or it's like you can see it unfolding, but I can't do anything about it. And that's one thing that I look at is, I kind of can see what's going to happen here, but I can't control it. So there you go.
Last question. There was a time in your life when you struggled to deal with the media and the attention and that kind of thing. Is that something that you made a point to sit down with Chase and talk to him about? This is how you should do it. This is how you should handle it.
I just make suggestions.
Yeah.
And we just make comments as time goes on, and it just like when Kurt Busch got out and said what he said after one of the races, and I said, if you want to end your career pretty quick, you might ought to get out and say that. But the point is everybody has a bad day. And I don't care if it's you, your wife, your kids, whatever. I can get up one day and somebody can say something to me, and I can take it one way, but the next day I might take it a totally different way. And that's what you got to understand. People are just human. You can't always expect the results some days. It's just like the circumstances that happens throughout your life is how you handle a particular things. You just, I said, if you get frustrated enough, just say, hey, look, I need some time. Give me some time, collect my thoughts, come back. I'll answer your questions, whatever you need to do. But the thing about today is you've got the nucleus of Hendricks around you. You've got a lot of experience there. You've got Jimmy Johnson to lean on. You've got me. I said, if you got any questions, come to ask me. I said, I've been through a lot of sides of this sport. I said, I know the mistakes that I made. I know the things that I would like to have corrected, but I was able to live through them and come through it at a time that it wasn't so critical as it is today. Just like some of the comments that people are saying are racist comments or this or that or whatever, it's like, whatever. I mean, guys, we all make mistakes, and let's get over it and going down the road. If we got a beef, let's kind of get it out of here on the table and make it happen, and whatever we do, and make things what it needs to be. And and we're all adults, and we can all work through anything if we just sit down and work through it. I mean, it's just like your relationship at home. You know,
Yeah.
you can make it good or bad, but it's up to you to make it whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go.